list the quieter places in the world if you want to go and experience tranquility in nature. And they have a website displaying many of those places. So there are countermeasures here. It's not all about, stuffing yourself full of content at every moment. We have this FOMO in the world now, which I think is very sad. People sitting in bed next to their partner at midnight doing email. People, as you say, walking through a beautiful forest with headphones in, listening to somebody speaking. What a tragic waste of gorgeous sound. So we spend 95% of our lives indoors now. And, whilst I think you're right, many children do spend less time indoors than many adults. They're certainly not sitting in hermetically sealed air-conditioned offices all day. Nevertheless, we have to watch out for this. And that's really what my next book is about. It's a paean to listening, a plea for everybody to listen and not to miss those beautiful sounds, because sound is extraordinary, amazing, rich, and something that we spend a great deal of our time ignoring now, especially in cities. We get used to suppressing our consciousness of sound because it's mostly noise. It's not nice. It's traffic noise, aircraft noise, construction.
It does remind me, but back in, it was probably 1984, I went and knocked on the door of Tony Schwartz in New York City, who was a renowned expert on sound. He made political TV commercials, but he made entire albums just about city sound. So he would go around with a recording, and he was nice enough to grant me time just as a college kid, telling me about his craft. I mean, there are interesting cities and sounds in a city as long as it's not deafening, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, many people love the sound of their city. Each city has its own voice, but it does get out of proportion. If you have ever been to Mumbai, for example, it's cacophony. You have the scooters, which have all got blown exhausts or the silencers removed, going through streets at huge volume. Everybody drives with their hand on the horn. In India, it's a tradition. And then you have street parades, banging drums and letting off fireworks and stuff like that. There are people trying to mitigate this now. There are movements where they're trying to create quiet areas. So, for example, in New York, you've got the High Line, which is a beautiful walking space.
Fantastic.
And it's quiet. It lets you, as long as there's contrast, some parks, some places where you can go and experience a little bit of tranquility, then it's not too incessant. But there are many cities in the world where that's not the case. And, in my book, I've got a table of the loudest cities in the world. And unfortunately, most of those are in Asia at the moment, where, people are much keener on progress than they are on the environment around them, and they're not conscious of the way in which sound profoundly affects our well-being.
Yeah, Julian, are there other ways you'd like people to stay connected with you so they can find out about this next book?